Hi, this is Rudy Jones. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball Recap for Friday, April the 11th. This is part of my coverage of college baseball in the state of South Carolina, centered out of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I have schedules, scores, highlights, things like that every day. You can also follow games in progress on my X handle, which is Palmetto Base. Just try to do the best I can to cover all 33 college baseball teams in the state. There were 24 games involving state teams on Friday night, including some dandy games in Division I. Let's take a look at what was going on. Over at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in Clemson, Jackson Moore singled and homered, driving 4 runs, and Aiden Canuck struck out 9 in 6 innings as Clemson topped number 6 North Carolina 9-5 to open that ACC series. The Tigers improved to 23-12 overall, 5-8 in ACC. The Tar Heels fell to 23-6-1 and 11-5. Clemson broke open a 1-1 tie with 4 runs in the 5th. He added 2 in the 6th and 2 more in the 7th. Nate Savoy had a long home run for the Tigers, and Jack Crichton also homered. He had two doubles, a homer, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBI for Clemson. The Tigers go for Game 2 of that series Saturday afternoon. Out in Columbia, Missouri, Phillips struck out 10 and pitched into the 9th inning, and South Carolina got its first SEC series win of the season with a 1-0 win over Missouri. The Gamecocks' only run was unearned. Tyler Bach had a triple. He got and was still there with 2 outs. Talmadge Lecroy hit a grounder deep in the hole at short. The shortstop's throw pulled first baseman Jace Woida off the bag, allowing Bach to score an unearned run in that game. Meanwhile, Phillips was brilliant. He had allowed 3 hits over the first 8 innings. He allowed 2 in the 9th, and then they pulled him. He walked 1 and struck out 10. In that 9th inning, after those 2 runners got on, the Gamecocks got the first out, Connor Ciccoli. Then Missouri, for some unknown reason, tried a double steal, and the lead runner was thrown out at third base for out 2. And then Woita flied out to center field to end the game. And so the Gamecocks got that 1-0 win. Their first SEC series win of the season, first SEC series road win, and a road series win in a couple of years. Carolina's now 17-19 overall and 4-10 in the SEC. Mizzou fell to 20-16 and 3-11. That means the Gamecocks will be no worse than tied for Missouri after Saturday's game. If they win, they've got a 2-game lead over the Tigers. For the Gamecocks, Tyler Bach, as I said, had a triple and a run scored for the only run of the game. Out in Jonesboro, Arkansas, yet another wild game. Coastal Carolina was losing to Arkansas State 4-3 going to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Red Wolves got a solo homer, then a 2-run homer, so they're going up 7-3 going to the 9th. Lo and behold, Coastal Carolina scores 7 runs in the top of the 9th inning and wins that game 10-7 to take the series opener in the Sun Belt Conference Series. The Chanticleers, which are ranked number 11 in the country in D1Baseball.com this week, now 23-12 overall, 12-1 to the Sun Belt, and Arkansas State fell to, got to find it now, 20-13 and 6-7. For the Chanticleers, Blake Barthol was 3 for 5 with a homer, 2 runs scored, and 3 RBI. And the go-ahead run scored on a squeeze play. Or not regular squeeze, but it's just a great bunt. But anyway, Coastal's really doing well right now. 16 come-from-behind wins in 23 games. Also, another good game in Division I. Alec Bouchard struck out 12 in 7 innings, and Wofford took Game 1 of a SoCon series against the Citadel by a score of 2-0. The Terriers are now 23-11 overall, 6-1 of the SoCon. Citadel fell to 16-17 and 3-4. For Wofford, Hunter Herndon was 2 for 4, and he drove in a run. The Terriers were held to 2 hits until the bottom of the 8th inning, where they got 2 hits and scored their second run of the game. But just a dandy game in the SoCon opener on Friday night. In the Big South, Brandon Gilley struck out 8 in 6 1/3 innings, and Winthrop beat Presbyterian 4-2 to open that series. That keeps the Eagles unbeaten in the Big South Conference. They're now 23-11 overall. They are 7-0 in the Big South. PC fell to 6-29 and 2-8. For Winthrop, Gabe Natividad was 2 for 4. He was hit by a pitch, scored 2 runs, and drove in 1 run. In Spartanburg, Johnny Sweeney had a grand slam, and 5 USC Upstate pitchers shut down Charleston Southern's potent offense as the Spartans won Game 1 of that Big South Series by a score of 9-1. Upstate's now 18-17 overall, 7-6 in the Big South. Charleston Southern fell to 20-12 and 5-5. For Upstate, Preston Lucas had a couple of hits, including a home run. In the final game involving a state team on Friday night, a state Division I team, Will Tippett drew a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the ninth. College of Charleston got a walk-off 6-5 win over North Carolina A&T to open that Coastal Athletic Association series. The Cougars are now 14-19 overall and 6-7 in the Coastal Athletic Association. North Carolina A&T, which is coached by former Clemson player Ben Hall, 9-23 and 3-10. Reese Holbrook, Chad Holbrook's son, had a great game on Friday. He was 3 for 3 with a double, 2 stolen bases, a walk, a run scored, and 2 RBI. Nice win for the Cougars, who have won 3 straight. Moving on to NCAA Division II, Connor McKee hit 2 singles and a pair of home runs, and North Greenville extended its winning streak to 9 by beating UNC Pembroke 16-8 to open a Conference Carolina series. The Trailblazers are now 34-7 overall, 21-4 in the conference. UNC Pembroke fell to 16-12 and 16-9. Thomas Powell had 3 hits, including a home run for Coach Landon Powell's Trailblazers. Francis Marion, which entered the day 1 game behind North Greenville, kept the pace. The Patriots beat Ferrum by a score of 9-3 when they had 8 hits, 8 walks, and 8 stolen bases. Logan Riley had 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 3 RBI for the Patriots, who are now 32-8 overall, 20-5 in the conference. Ferrum fell to 16-20 and 8-17. Also for Francis Marion, Ethan McAnally had a homer and drove in 4 runs. And another Conference Carolinas game, Erskine broke a tie with 4 runs in the 8th inning and took the series opener against Barton by a score of 15-11. The Flying Fleet, now 21-20 overall, 15-10 in the conference, have won 9 of their last 10 games. They fell behind 3-0 in the first inning before rallying. Nice win for them. Noah Hill had a single, a double, a homer, a walk, 2 runs scored, and 4 RBI for Erskine. Also in Conference Carolinas, Belmont Abbey drew 10 walks and collected 14 hits to double up Southern Wesleyan by a score of 14-7 to open that series. The Crusaders are 29-9 overall, 20-5 in the conference, staying 1 game behind North Greenville. And Southern Wesleyan fell to 14-27 and 8-17. One note, in a game outside the state involving a Conference Carolinas team, Emmanuel beat Young Harris 10-5, so that drops the Mountain Lions 2 games off the pace in the Conference Carolinas standings. In the Peach Belt Conference, Chancellor Jennings' 3-run homer in the 7th inning invoked a run rule as USC Aiken beat Augusta by a score of 13-2. It also clinched a series win for the Pacers because they won Game 1 on Thursday night. Aiken is now 29-12 overall, 16-7 in the PBC. Augusta fell to 12-23 and 11-12. Also for Erskine, Kyle Stockton had 4 1/3 innings of scoreless relief. He allowed 1 hit and struck out 5. Also in the Peach Belt Conference, Georgia College out-hit Lander 21-2 and beat the Bearcats 9-3 in the opener of that series, somewhat of a surprise based on team records. Georgia College is now 15-21 overall, 9-12 in the conference. Lander fell to 22-17 and 15-9. For the Bearcats, Ryan Hansen had a homer and drove in 2 runs. In the final game involving a state Peach Belt Conference team on Friday, Middle Georgia scored 7 runs in the first inning and 9 in the 8th, and run ruled Claflin by a score of 19-4. Middle Georgia is now 14-26 overall, 7-15 in the Peach Belt. Claflin fell to 4-27 and 1-21. For Claflin, Nehemiah Drew had a single, 3 walks, and he scored twice. In the South Atlantic Conference, Anderson had a 6-run lead go away by a 7-run inning by Coker, but the Trojans rebounded and beat Coker by a score of 11-9 to open that series. The Trojans are now 19-20 overall, 7-18 in the SAC. Coker fell to 10-28, 8-17 in the conference. Brooks Morrow had 4 of the Trojans' 16 hits. Luke Alford drove in 6 runs for Coker. Also for Anderson, Braden Harrison had 2 homers, 3 walks, and drove in 4 runs. And in another sack game, Wingate scored 3 runs in the 4th inning to go ahead and held on to beat Newberry by a score of 4-2 in the opener of that series. The Bulldogs are 29-11 overall, 19-6 in the sack. Newberry fell to 23-17 and 16-9. For Newberry, Luke Compton had a double, a stolen base, a run scored, and an RBI. Excuse me, pardon the cough. In other games, Stillman took a doubleheader from Voorhees. Game 1 score was 4-2. Game score 2 score was 5-4. Stillman is now 18-13 overall, 12-3 in the HBCUAC. Voorhees fell to 7-20 and 6-9. For Voorhees, Jaden Godet had 2 hits and an RBI in Game 1, and Darian Drayton had 2 runs and 2 hits in Game 2. In another games, Florida National swept a doubleheader from Morris. Game 1 score was 10-5. Game 2 score was 15-11. For Morris in Game 2, Jameer Manigo was 3 for 4 with a walk, a run scored, and an RBI. With the result today, Florida National is 22-16, including 7-4 in the Continental Athletics Conference. Again, excuse me. While Morris fell to 8-14 and 1-3. In the Appalachian Athletic Conference, Reinhardt scored 3 runs in the first inning and never trailed in beating Columbia International by a score of 4-1. The Rams were held to 2 hits in that series opener. Reinhardt is now 16-23 overall, 9-10 in the conference. Columbia International fell to 15-26 and 11-13. And for Columbia International, Jennings Green had a double, a walk, and a run scored. In a non-conference meeting, NAIA number 2, Georgia Gwinnett took command of the 6-run 4th inning and beat beat Spartanburg Methodist by a score of 12-2 in an NAIA game, non-conference, of course. Georgia Gwinnett is now 35-4. Spartanburg Methodist fell to 19-19. For the Pioneers, Blake Exisen had a hit and drove in 2 runs. Baptist University of Florida took a doubleheader from Bob Jones. Game 1 score was 10-7. Game 2 score was 7-2. For the Bruins, who are now 9-22, I'm finding it, excuse me. Henry Rumble was 3 for 4 with a homer, a stolen base, and 2 runs are driven in Game 1. And in Game 2, Zach Tyre was 2 for 3 with a double and a run scored. That is it for the games involving state teams. How about beyond the border? In the ACC, Georgia Tech scored 4 runs in the 8th inning and clinched a series win over number 5 Florida State. The final score was 8-3. Also, number 13 Virginia beat Notre Dame 8-4. Virginia Tech edged number 23 Boston College 9-8. NC State took care of Duke 10-4. Cal whipped Pitt 12-1. Stanford blasted Louisville 12-2, and Miami beat Wake Forest 3-1. ACC standings after Friday's games: Georgia Tech's at 14-3. North Carolina is at 11-5. Florida State's at 9-5. Boston College and Virginia are at 9-7. Miami and NC State are at 7-6. Wake is at 8-8. Pitt is at 6-7. Duke, Virginia Tech are at 7-9. Clemson, Stanford, and Louisville are tied at 5-8. Notre Dame is 6-10, and California is 2-11. In the SEC, number 18 Texas A&M had a 3-run lead going into the 9th inning, but Texas hit a couple of homers before the Aggies held on for a 9-8 win over the number 2 Longhorns. Tennessee edged number 8 Mississippi State 6-5. Number 18 Florida whipped number 4 Georgia 8-2. Number 22 Arkansas topped number 7 Alabama 7-5. Number 10 Auburn clubbed Kentucky 12-5. Number 13 Oklahoma outlasted Vanderbilt 13-11. And number 25 Ole Miss scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th and beat number 24 LSU by a score of 6-3. How about the SEC standings now? We have Georgia is still in first place at 10-3. Texas is 9-4. Tied for third at 8-5 are Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M. Auburn, Mississippi State are at 7-6. Vanderbilt is at 7-7. Kentucky and LSU, Arkansas, and Ole Miss are all 6-7. Oklahoma is 6-8. Tennessee is 5-8. South Carolina is 4-10, and Missouri is 3-11. How about a couple of other scores from outside the state that involve teams in the in conferences where we have teams members. Radford was a 7-6 winner over High Point in a Big South Conference game. UNCW beat Campbell by a score of 5-3 in the Coastal Athletic Association, and Western Carolina won a showdown with Mercer by a score of 10-6. You can read information about all these games, box scores. I am lucky enough to have links to all the states' box scores tonight. You can follow things going on. You can find all that at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Let's check out the schedule for Saturday. We're going to go in chronological order, of course, easier to read. Anderson's at Coker at noon for a doubleheader. Baptist University and Bob Jones play another doubleheader at noon at Conisty Park. Barton is at Erskine for the pair at noon. USC Buford opens the series at Eckerd. It's a non-conference series at noon, doubleheader. Albany State and Benedict open an SIAC series in Columbia at 1 o'clock with a doubleheader. Augusta and USCA can complete their series at 1 o'clock. Belmont Abbey is at Southern Wesleyan for a doubleheader at 1. Ferrum is at Francis Marion for a doubleheader at 1. Florence Darlington Tech is at USC Salkehatchie in a Region 10 doubleheader at 1 o'clock in Allendale. Georgia Gwinnett and Spartanburg Methodist complete their series with a doubleheader at 1 over in Spartanburg. Middle Georgia and Claflin play a doubleheader at Miramar Field in Orangeburg at 1 o'clock. Newberry is at Wingate at 1 o'clock for a doubleheader. North Greenville is at UNC Pembroke for a doubleheader at 1. Reinhardt and Columbia International play a doubleheader at Miller Field on the CIU campus at 1 o'clock. USC Lancaster is at USC Sumter at Riley Park for a 1 o'clock doubleheader. USC Union is at Region 10 leader Gaston College for a doubleheader, 1 o'clock at Sims Legion Park in Gastonia. Voorhees is at Stillman at 1 o'clock. Charleston Southern is at USC Upstate at 2 o'clock. And according to the information I have, it will be broadcast on free TV in the upstate of South Carolina and western North Carolina on WYCW Channel 62.1. Elsewhere, Landers at Georgia College in Game 2 of that series at 2 o'clock. North Carolina A&T and College of Charleston play at 2 on Patriots Point. North Carolina and Clemson play Game 2 of their series at 2 o'clock on Saturday. The Citadel and Wofford play Game 2 in Spartanburg at 2 o'clock. South Carolina goes for a series sweep at Missouri at 3 o'clock. Winthrop Presbyterian play at 3 at the Elton Pollock Complex in Clinton. And in the final game, Coastal Carolina is at Arkansas State in another 7 o'clock game. That's it for the wrap up for April the 10th and the schedule for April 11th. Again, you can always follow PalmettoStateBaseball.com to get more information and get updates on my X handle, which is Palmetto Base. Once again, this is Rudy Jones saying good night. Jesus loves you.